Mission number 12. What mission number 12 is hoping to help us achieve is to share our traits. So it suggests writing down 8 qualities that you want somebody to know about you. These can include individuality, humor, trustworthiness, intelligence, artistic talent, or whatever makes you stand out. You are listing these out because we want to narrow them down to find your story. These are going to help us know what we want to convey through that story. And we have to craft a story that will compel our audience. When we're finding our story, there are some things we can pay attention to. Memorable moments in your life. They can be a pivotal experience. It can be a funny experience. But these experiences are things that helped shape who you are as a person now. Some moments that help shape you can be ironic or embarrassing. There could be adventurous and exciting. Maybe you have something that's a bit sexy and awkward. Possibly you can speak to something that's naive and touching, or small and poetic, like the time you were eating a burger and you realized the meaning of life. Maybe there's something a little bit dangerous and heroic, like the time you saved a girl from some guy who was threatening to beat her up outside of that club in Rio. Maybe something current and confusing, or really, your story can be anything you want it to be, as long as it doesn't evoke negative emotions in the listeners or hit at negative qualities about yourself. You think about your traits, you think about your personal experience stories, and now I would suggest write those stories out. Let's just, for the sake of argument, say you got 6. Thought it's 6 stories, you wrote them out, you want to narrow that down, knock it down to 2 stories, and these are the stories that you'll work on. How you're going to craft your story, you need to have a strong beginning. Your story needs to make a good first impression, and the best way to ensure that is to have a short, sharp, clear initial sentence. Short, concise, to the point. Also, you need to have a good ending. If the story takes a surprising twist at the end, or reveals the answer to a mystery posted earlier, or has a non-cheesy punchline, or wraps everything up into a neat lesson, this is ideal. Either way, make sure your last sentence leaves the listener with laughter, excitement, shock, admiration, disbelief, or any strong positive emotion. You're going to want to add a little bit of intrigue to your story. Some suspense can occur when the listener knows something is going to happen next, but they don't know either what it is or exactly how it's going to happen. So that's something you can sprinkle in there. Also, to make your story pop, you want to include vivid detail, remembering sights, sounds, smells, feeling. The richer the detail, the more involved the listeners will become. Another way to spice up your story is with humor. You can watch some good stand-up comedians, and you'll notice that between a setup and a punchline, they squeeze in several additional jokes, plus a tagline after the punchline, just for an extra laugh.
And the crowd goes wild.
You can add some value to your story. This is to illustrate positive traits. You want to cut the fat of the story. When you've finished, read your story. Make sure it's easy to follow and doesn't include unnecessary details and information. You want to cut neediness out of your story. Make sure that the intent of the story is to entertain, amuse, or involve other people, not to sell yourself or your accomplishments. You also want to make sure that the final length of your story is no less than 30 seconds and no more than 2 minutes. That's roughly 75 to 300 words on paper. Once you have your stories out, you need to go out and you need to tell your story. So I would suggest going to a social gathering where you don't know a lot of people, and you can tell that same story or the same 2 stories with different people over and over again. That way you can nail your delivery and you can perfect the art of storytelling. That's it for today. I hope I provided you with a few excellent resources to think about when crafting your story. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, stay weird. I'll see you next time.